Hey everyone, Laura here.
Tanya here.
We've been friends for over a decade and worked together for a long time in call centers as agents, quality analysts, managers, and supervisors.
In 2018, we started up this podcast to talk about the batshit bonkers bullshit we see and continue to see in our time at work and at home as consumers.
We also share your stories as both consumers and as employees.
So keep them coming to Q as in cucumber at yahoo.com.
We host the show anonymously and use aliases. In the stories we tell, we change names and identifying details of people, locations, and companies.
We also share your emails anonymously, so any similarities to real people, locations, or companies is purely coincidental.
So if you think we're talking about you, guilty conscience much?
Now on with the fun.
Love your faces.
Smooches.
This call may be monitored and recorded for quality assurance.
This job would be great if it wasn't for the fucking customers.
You're always this stupid. Did you take lessons? Just calm down.
Oh, fuck you!
You can't handle the truth.
This call may be monitored and recorded for quality assurance.
In other words, be nice, asshole.
Oh, my head. Just the sinuses is just...
Yes.
Are you taking anything?
Oh, I can't take, so decided the other night to hop myself up on some Benadryl and take some Flonase and some Advil, right? Or ibuprofen.
Right.
I can't use anything, any of those nose sprays, any of those nasal sprays. I can't use them at all.
Okay.
Because they make my nose bleed. But I was in such need. What is it? Wednesday night, I think. Tuesday night, Wednesday night. I was in such need. I came home from work, took a shower, put on my pajamas, loaded myself up with a bunch of shit, and sprayed my nose. About 30 minutes later, I'm like, and I went to go blow my nose again. Blood.
Oh, God.
Just my nose, just bleeding. Got up the next day, nose, I'm putting on my makeup. I got blood all over my face. So it was a whole thing all day long at work. My nose is bleeding. I'm walking around with tissue up my nose.
Oh.
So it's just been my sinuses, and I can't take, because I got the beatus, I got to be careful because it'll really fuck up my blood sugar.
Yeah.
Then I checked my blood sugar this morning, and it was really low. So that's why I got my little orange crush, because I really wanted an orange soda. So I was just my whole face, it feels like for the last week, it has felt like somebody smacked me in the face with a shovel.
Oh, God.
I know. It hurts. Oh, my
God.
God. So I'm probably going to have to go to the doctor and get some antibiotics.
Especially if it's been a week.
Yeah,
you
and it's
need
just, not getting better at all.
If you want, I can give you some antibiotics. You
Okay.
don't have to go to the doctor.
Yeah, that would be good.
you
'cause I
want.
don't feel like going to the doctor. Because I feel like my head is literally just... I feel like an orange on a toothpick right now.
This is what happens, when you get older, people. We're plotting a drug deal here,
antibiotics.
but it's just for antibiotics. So that's what happens when you get
Right.
older. So welcome to another episode of Q as in Cucumber. I'm Laura Mack.
And I'm Tanya Edwards.
Okay, so
And then you know what I think it has a lot to do too with as well?
Huh.
So I spent a week in California, came back for
Right.
2 weeks, went and spent a week, and as soon as I got back, 2 days after I got back from Florida, my face felt like it was going to crumble off.
right,
Yeah.
So just that the
Yeah.
travel, the change in altitude.
Plus, people on airplanes are dirty anyway.
Yeah,
So
airplanes are the worst.
I'm sure there was some victim of some sort of influenza on there.
Oh, God. So we are back after our Scientology deep dive, and you guys had a really positive response to it, and thank you. It was kind of amazing, and I felt like it was very much off-brand. I didn't quite know, it doesn't really relate to customer service or business or anything like that, but
It is a business,
but
though.
that's the thing is that I had a couple. I think I mentioned that on the episode because we had a couple of people email and they were like, "No, when you covered Enron, what you were covering was the con.
right.
Scientology, what you're covering is the con. So maybe that's what we do going forward for deep dives is just covering the con. And most cults are a con. All cults are a con.
Well, yeah. I mean, even if you look at someone like David Koresh, that was a con.
Of course it was.
Enron. Charles Manson.
Absolutely.
Even. All cons.
He told them all this crazy stuff just to get them out to the desert.
Right.
So, because he wanted to live in the fucking desert.
Right. And apparently didn't want to go alone.
Yeah.
So, those it's a
Yeah.
con. It's a
They
big
are
ass
cons.
con.
Maybe we'll do Charlie Manson next.
He's creepy as shit.
He is creepy as shit.
He was a fucking weirdo.
Oh yeah. Ugh.
Ugh.
So, thank you for that. I'm gonna do a quick Project Runway recap because I've pretty much I'm kind of done with this season. I'm so fucking annoyed. Like, I loved it at first, and then it's just evolved, and I'm like, fuck you. I'm just so.
You know what show I'm really hooked on? This is so shameful. I cook a lot
Right.
on Food Network. The worst cooks in America, or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
I fucking that and the baking championship. Like every Sunday night, that's my shit
That's
right
your
there. After I
jam?
watch Game of Thrones, I watch that. That's my shit.
And we're gonna talk about Game of Thrones, but let me get honestly, I can't even remember the last episode we talked about Project Runway, but I'm just kind of done. I think it's bullshit. Like, Jamal should have been sent home for being in the bottom twice. And then he wins for this weird cat in the drapes bullshit. It really, like, it looked like a dress that, like, a cat got caught in the drapes.
Oh, no.
And he won. I was like, what the fuck? And then fucking Hester. I don't understand what the fucking fascination they have with her. That she keeps winning. And then when she has immunity, she makes these outfits that you're like, ugh, what the fuck? Like, she literally, for an elegance challenge, they challenged them to create something that was elegant. She did a gown with a completely sheer top and pasties. Oh, really? And they were like, the idea of this would have been brilliant. I'm like, pasties is brilliant.
I'm sorry. Sophia went to prom last week. If she'd have came out the dressing room with something she needed pasties for.
Thank you.
She'd have got her ass whipped
And
right in
then
the
she
Penny's
did it
parking
in this
lot.
cheap way that made it look like 2 green fortune cookies on her tits.
Oh.
It was like, what the fuck? And granted, they put her in the bottom, but because she fucking had immunity,
It didn't matter.
it didn't matter. So it was like, oh God, I honestly haven't even watched last night's like little Elton John challenge because I'm like,
Oh.
I don't really fucking care. It was just week after week after week between Hester winning the video game challenge, which was bullshit.
I'm hungry.
She just busted out. What is that? Chicken?
Yeah.
It's 9:30 in the morning, and Tanya just busted out chicken. Oh my God.
Tenders, ma'am. From the store.
Oh my God. So I'm just kind of over. I'm just kind of over
that
it.
show. I don't know.
I love it,
They
but
bug me.
the fact that it's very clear that the fix is in for Hester, I'm just kind of like, fuck
Me and
you.
Sophia have
I
been
don't
watching
really
The
give a shit.
Fosters.
Really?
Have you ever seen that show?
No.
It's really good. It's on Netflix. Mm-hmm. It's super good. It's about this lesbian couple, and they've adopted all these kids, all this stuff, and the kids, and then I guess there's a spinoff from 2 of the girls, but it's really...
Is it a reality show?
No,
Oh, okay.
But it's really good. Sophia got me fucking hooked on it like 2 months ago. There's a bunch of seasons, so me and Sophia just sit in there at night and just watch it. Ooh. Or I'll go like do something, or she'll go clean the kitchen, and she's like, did you keep watching it without me? You're so rude. Or I'll walk in after work and she's watching it and I'm like, stop! You're not supposed to be watching it.
So I want to talk about one of the biggest mistakes that I think I've ever made as an adult. I think it's top 5, quite frankly.
Oh my God.
And then we're going to talk about, and part of it has to do with Game of Thrones. And I didn't know that Tanya watches Game of Thrones. So we're about
bitches.
We're about to talk about this. But before we talk about the details of everything, I'm going to tell you the mistake I made.
You got attached to a character on the show.
I know, that's a giant mistake, straight up.
Okay,
oh my
so
God.
First off, first episode I ever watched, I was like, they just killed off a main character.
Oh yeah, they kill fucking. Don't get attached to anybody.
Anyone at all.
Like bad idea. So the weekend of the battle.
So that was weekend before last.
Right.
Yeah.
That was the weekend of George's birthday. So he had taken that Sunday was his birthday, and he took that Monday off. So the plan was on Monday when TJ was at school, we were going to go see Avengers Endgame, right? So Sunday night, and George and I have made a commitment to each other that this season, in previous seasons of Game of Thrones, it's aired, and then we have...
Hold on, Avery. Hey, what's up? I'm recording. What's up? Yeah, but I'm recording. I'm doing my podcast. No, what's okay? It's okay. What's wrong? Say hi to everybody. I put you on speaker. What? Say hi.
I love that I'm looking at Tanya's phone. She has him saved as firstborn. That's the way Avery's saved in your phone.
My kids have me as birth giver. Giver of life.
Giver of life.
Yeah, and Sophia has me as birth giver.
See, and I have my parents as parentals. Oh my God.
All right. Well, did you need anything?
Yeah, I was gonna see if you can make me some of that really good spaghetti you used to make before games in high school.
He has his first game tomorrow.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So,
anywho, sorry about that. I had to
that's
do my
okay.
mom duty to my oldest, who's 20-2.
Exactly.
So
So
apparently, I have to make
spaghetti
so we can carb load tonight.
Oh my God.
God, because he's playing semi-pro football now.
Woohoo!
I'm so proud of him. Anyways, go on. Let's go.
So George and I made a commitment that since this is the final season of Game of Thrones, because in the past what we've done is it's recorded on Sunday and then we watch it like Monday night or whenever, right? But this season we knew there was going to be no fucking way to avoid spoilers, and everybody was going to be talking about it at work.
And the episodes are a lot longer this season.
Like, and I work from home, but George works in an office, and he's like, I don't want to miss it. Like, I don't want to have it spoiled.
Unless he walks around all day with earmuffs on.
Exactly. So we made a commitment that as soon as TJ goes to bed, we're going to watch it, right? So that's what we've been doing. So the Great War episode happens. It is, after the first 10 minutes, it's 82 minutes. And we're going to get into the details here in a minute. But in general, it's 82 minutes of like straight... it's not even a roller coaster. Because roller coasters go up and down and up and down. It is straight up 82 minutes of fucking holding your goddamn breath.
Avery said, because he comes over every Sunday, eats dinner, and watches Game of Thrones with us.
Right.
That's our thing. Mm-hmm. He said, my asshole shouldn't be puckered this much.
I know.
He was just like, oh. I mean, we were all, me, David, and him were sitting outside watching that, and we were all just like, I know, I was just sitting at the edge of my seat with I know I didn't breathe half the time.
Oh, I know. Like I said, I didn't know I could hold my breath for 82 minutes.
Yeah.
It was so intense. So watch that. George and I are just kind of like, oh my fucking God, that was insane.
Right.
So we're done watching it because TJ goes to bed around 8. He fell asleep a little bit early that night. So we got done with it around like 9:15. Go to bed and wake up the next day and go to see the first showing at 9 of Avengers Endgame. And that is 3 hours of fucking intensity and holding your goddamn breath.
PTSD.
I swear to God, as soon as we walked out of the fucking movie theater, I was like, I feel like my soul has just been beaten up. Like, doing those, one of the biggest mistakes of my adult life, doing those two things, watching those two things in the span of 12 hours, like, it beat up my nerd soul. Like, to the point where I literally came home and took a nap. Like, because I just felt so... like beaten up, like, and physically I felt beaten up. I was like, because it was just way too much intensity for my nerd soul. It was retarded.
When we were watching it about 10-15 minutes in, I was like, so there's no talking in this episode?
No.
At all? Like, all we're going to get is grunts, you know?
So let's talk about this. So spoiler alert.
Okay. If you haven't watched it yet.
I really thought that, and everybody, I had a feeling that they were setting John and Danny up to be the heroes of the episode, but I had a feeling it was going to be somebody else.
Each other.
I did not expect that the MVPs, I figured Arya was going to be an MVP, but I did not expect
fucking
Melisandre to be the other. Really, the two MVPs of the fucking episode were Melisandre and Arya. Right? Oh, and guess what George got me for my birthday?
What?
Did you see that thing I posted on my Facebook page? Oh, it's this shirt. It's super cute. It kind of goes off the shoulder a little bit with these cool, like, gold straps. It's blue. And across the chest, it has Arya's knife, and it says, "Not today."
Oh.
And it comes in like up to 5X.
Sophia's got
like it's even got huge big girl sizes. So
Sophia's
George was like,
Sophia got a white T-shirt, and it's got. She really doesn't watch Game of Thrones like we do, but she knows about it. Mm-hmm. And it's like cut up, and it's white, and in gold it says Mother of Dragons on it, and it's got the House of Dragons.
I've got a Mother of Dragons shirt.
Yeah,
yep.
Sophia's got one of those, but yeah, they.
Oh my God, that was so okay. So when she walks up and asks them to like lift their swords to fucking light them on fire, gorgeous scene, right? Absolutely goosebumps for days, right? Then when Danny and John the dragons first start blowing the fire, and they fly past Arya and Sansa, gorgeous, like. And I know that a lot of people complained about
the darkness, but it was night. There weren't street lights back in those days.
Right, and I wasn't too upset by it, but I was really upset by the producer's response to it. I was like, that's a dumbass response, jackasses. Their response was, well, if it was too dark for you, then your televisions weren't calibrated with the proper brightness settings. And I'm like, if you want to tell like maybe 100,000 people who watch the show that, great. But of 17 million people, and 15 million of them complain about this, then it's not the
calibration of your
I
TV.
thought that was a dipshit answer, quite frankly. But I understand the point, but I still thought it was a fucking amazing episode. They cut a little fast between like people, and there were certain points I got kind of annoyed where I didn't realize when John first started, they did that continuous shot of John running through, and you're thinking he's going to kill the Night King.
Right.
It really felt like they were just having him see people, and it was kind of like a check-in to see who's still alive. And I thought, I don't give a shit who's still alive right now. I want to know who's going to kill the Night King. But I didn't realize what the producer's goal was to that scene was to set it up to make it look like John is going to kill the Night King.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, and it was seeing him kind of, in a normal circumstance, he would have stopped and helped all these people. But he couldn't.
Okay, I gotta say, you know who I have to give big ass props to though?
Who?
Sam. Fucking Sam was in there with his scary ass. First he ran off in the middle of the battle.
He was terrified.
He was scared shitless. And then he started slaying folks. And you're seeing him. John goes by him, and Jon Snow just looks at him like, oh shit, you're alive and you're kicking ass.
Exactly.
You know? And then he keeps going. But yeah, poor Sam. I felt so bad for him.
Yeah.
Because he's not a killer. He doesn't have a harmful bone in his body.
But he is the only one who had killed a White Walker.
Before.
Yeah.
It's
kind of amazing.
Yeah. And then he went in there and kicked ass.
He did. He did a good job.
He did.
I loved the little moments between Sansa and Tyrion. When she said, you were the best of my husbands. He was like, what a terrifying. Like, oh my God.
I know those two.
I did think that what's her breath? I can't remember her name. It's not Melisandre. It's the other one. Starts with an M too. It sounds like Melisandre.
I can't remember. I don't know.
The one that got her head chopped off in this last episode.
Oh, Miss Sunday or whatever. Yeah.
Her little fucking attitude when they were talking about Danny.
Yeah, and if it wasn't for my queen,
I was like, "What the fuck is your problem?
Go sit your ass down. You're just sexually frustrated."
They're literally sitting here talking. Like, I don't think they said anything insulting about her. So I didn't understand what that fucking attitude was.
She knows that Sansa doesn't like her.
But okay, so the episode fucking amazing. Arya. Fucking for the fucking win. That little Arya's my spirit animal. When she was like, what do we say to the god of death? Not today. I was like, oh shit.
The funniest part though, whenever she gave Sansa that that knife, and she was like, how do I use it? Poke him with the sticky part
with the pointy
end. I was like, oh damn.
There was some really.
And when she pulled that little knife out of her little jacket.
I know.
And Tyrion just looked at her like, oh, shit.
I know, right? Oh, my God. But that moment where Jorah Mormont died in in Danny's arms. It was just like, oh,
Yeah.
God.
And he loved her.
He
loved
He
her.
adored her.
He did. He would have done anything for her.
There was a moment in one of the previous seasons where it was one of the most beautifully acted moments, and it came from him. And he's like talking to her, and he's like, you don't understand. We have not had a good ruler in, forever.
Yeah.
He was like, and he was kind of looking at her, and he just had this moment of, like, I think, what did he say? Like, sometimes that's what he said. Sometimes I look at you and I can't even believe that you're real. And just the way he said it and the way he was looking at her was so intense and beautiful.
Whoever did the casting for this show is a fucking amazing.
They're
because
fucking genius.
The way you hate Cersei, the way people hated Joffrey, the way that people feel about when Sansa was going through everything and when they killed her father and even watching Theon reek with all his shit, reek all that shit, and then seeing him. So the memes this week in the last couple weeks have been fucking outrageous. Did a picture it. It made me laugh so hard. I put it on my Facebook, and it was a picture of Theon, like, ready to do some battle, right? And it said Theon. And then after he got killed, it said Theoff.
Oh, my God. No, my favorite meme from last week was a picture of Gendry, or what? Gendry, however you say her name. This is the only person who saw Arya Stark coming. I was like, oh,
there was one with it had a picture of Jaime Lannister and Bree in bed, and it said, when the pussy's so bad you go back to your sister. That's gross.
Okay, so that is a segue into last week's episode, because we gotta fucking talk about this. I've been in love with this show. I am not and I'm surprised I am, because I'm not a fantasy nerd. We were just talking about this before we got on mic. I'm a comic book nerd. I am a sci-fi nerd, Star Trek, Star Wars. Like, I am a nerd on many different levels. I am not a fantasy nerd. I don't understand these types of books. Like, I don't get it. But about 2 seasons in, George was like, I really want to watch this with you. And we've always committed to watching one show. At any given time, we're watching one show together. So I was like, okay, we'll watch it. And the first episode was really hard to fucking get through because of her brother Danny's brother fucking selling her.
Yeah.
And her getting raped on a fucking beach. I was like, oh, I'm out.
Yeah.
And George was like, just give it a couple more episodes. So I did. And then, the two of them fell in love, and it was a beautiful little story. And it was just like, oh, okay. Like, I finally started to understand it.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. But this last episode, I am really tempted to not watch the last 2. That's how fucking pissed off I am at this last episode. You want to know why?
Into this last episode.
You know why I'm pissed off about it? Because they took every single strong female character that have been the core of this show, that has made it so amazing, and they turned each and every one of them into a fucking character from goddamn Mean Girls.
Yeah, and then you got Bree standing out there in her robe crying.
Okay,
that shit hurt my soul.
And you know why it hurt my soul? Because you took this badass woman Night and turned her into this whimpering, cat, like, please stay, like begging a man to love. You took this amazing,
a one-handed man at that.
Thank you. Who's leaving him for your sister. Look, oh my God. So that they took Brienne of Tarth and fucking turned her into a puddle.
Yeah. Which
I'm like, okay, that's bullshit. Now George has never been a fan of Sansa. I haven't really minded her. She hasn't been my favorite, but I haven't really minded her one way or the other. This whole staring at Danny through the whole goddamn episode with a face that makes her look like she just smelled a fart. I'm like, this, why? Ew. Why Stan? Why is she so special? It was like, fuck you, bitch.
Right.
Like, honestly, fuck Sansa. They turn, and honestly, she was a super strong. Like, she's come
been
through the fucking fire.
Oh my God!
And then you turn her into this little
catty bitch,
right? Mm-hmm. You take Arya, and Arya sitting here in the Godswood saying, like, you know, she's not one of us. And I'm like, really, bitch? You couldn't, like, of all of them, I really felt like Arya should be the one to basically understand, like, this is clearly the person that we need,
right?
Like, with us. But instead, you're going to stand here, she's not one of us. Like, honestly, she reminded me of a bratty kid that doesn't want to give stepmom a chance. Like, okay, fine. Like, it just felt like you took all of these strong, amazing women and just turned every single one of them into just the antithesis of their character. At the last possible moment, it was like, fuck you. Cersei was the only one but even that, Tyrion was right. If you give up, it will save your child.
Yeah.
Right?
She's not going
Cersei would have taken that. And for me, I believe, because he was right, she would have taken what he was saying.
Right.
The fact that she didn't, for me, went against her character. I get that some people felt like, oh, she wouldn't take that. The one thing she loved, Jaime, but even Jaime, I don't think she loves any more than herself, and her children.
Yeah, her children, but she knows that. So she thinks she's got it in the bag because she sent old boy to kill Jaime and Tyrion, but he's not going to.
Right.
Right? So she thinks she has it in the bag. She thinks that, you know, I think that plays a lot into it. Like, haha, you motherfuckers ain't got shit because I'm fixing to kill you. We already killed one of the dragons. Yeah. You got one left. What are you going to do? She loses that one. Fuck y'all. You know?
I did love the last. And, you know, I saw a lot of people on Twitter very upset that they killed Miss Sandy or whatever her name is. But what they were upset was you killed the one black girl with her in chains. I'm like, I don't think that was the goal.
I don't think that was the goal, but
that felt like some
I didn't like
overly
it because I felt like
sensitive
that was the one of the people besides Tyrion
that's keeping Dany.
That is keeping her sane.
I did love when she said, do you have any last words? And she yelled, Dracarys.
Yeah.
Like, in other words, burn the motherfuckers to the fucking ground.
Have you seen this Grey Worm and Missandei ending? This is the Grey Worm and Missandei ending we all wanted to see. And then she goes, there's her dancing. Just dancing around.
Like nobody's even watching.
Yeah, nobody.
I did think it was funny, the meme that said, you know, I think Grey Worm is a fucking hypocrite.
Oh, yeah.
Because Missandei gets a body part chopped off and all of a sudden he can't love her no more. I was like, oh, God. That shit was fucking funny. So, I don't know. Like, I'll watch the next 2 episodes. But honestly, at this point, we know that Dany's going to turn into the Mad Queen. And this next episode, Cersei's going to die. And in the last episode, Dany's going to die. But it just annoys me that they took these amazing female characters at the last possible moment and just turned them into bratty little bitches. Like, I don't need to see fucking Regina George and Lindsay Lohan in Game of Thrones, okay?
But, you know, the Hound, and I love the Hound.
Yeah. Did you notice what I thought was funny? I did love the moment where Dany made Gendry a lord. That was an amazing moment. But what I do think is funny is when she said, who's Lord of Storm's End now? And he said, I don't know, Your Grace. And she said, does anybody? And the whole room is fucking dead silent. Mm-hmm. But if you notice, the Hound is still eating.
Yeah.
He's the only one.
Piss off, you cunt.
He's like, I really don't care that you're having this whole moment. I'm eating my food.
I'm eating my food and drinking my beer.
I know.
And he was, but did you see, like, during the battle, and he was like freaking out.
Oh yeah, but then
he was freaking out, and they were like, "Tell her that," because that's his baby right there.
Totally.
And you see, the two of them are going to King's Landing, and they are going to
because she's going to kill Cersei.
She's going to kill Cersei,
and I truly wonder if because here's the thing: Sansa's going to die. Her wolf is dead. right? Mm-hmm. She's gonna die. But Arya's and Jon's are still alive. So unless they die, those wolves die, they should live.
Well, okay.
And he just sent his wolf. Now I have a feeling the wolf's not going to stay with Tormund. Like,
no,
he's going to show up somewhere. Like,
oh yeah. So I was laughing during the whole battle thing. Mm-hmm. You know, Jon Snow was like running from that crazy dragon and everything else, and the blue fire and everything. But just as Arya was killing the Night King, right? Mm-hmm. Jon like jumps up from behind his rock and starts yelling, "Ah!" Right? And I was laughing. I told David, I said, he probably thinks he really yelled.
That's really going to help.
Yeah, like I'm like a lion.
Like it's me trying to scare you.
And then the dragon just fell apart.
What I thought was funny about that moment is if you remember in the preview for the last Jurassic World movie, there was in the preview they showed this moment where a dinosaur was like had clearly like broken into a zoo, and he was standing on one side of an enclosure, and this lion was standing on the other part, and they were roaring at each other. I felt like Jon Snow was that tiny little lion compared to this giant fucking dinosaur.
Right.
That's the first thing that popped into my mind. But I do think that there is a possibility that I think Dany may die. The only thing that could save her, and Tanya and I were just talking about this, I think maybe she's gonna find out she's pregnant. Because here's the thing. With her nephew's kid. But, I mean, honestly, they get married and then he's the king and nobody needs to really fucking know. I mean, honestly, this whole thing could work out great, but Game of Thrones, it never does. So, don't expect that's going to happen. But I was telling her last season they had this whole conversation, Jon and Dany, where she said they're the only children I'll ever have. And he's like, why do you think that? And she says, well, this witch told me. And the witch who murdered my husband, he's like, you don't think she could have been lying?
Yeah, because
like,
she also lied and said that,
right,
that Khal Drogo would be alive and everything else. Now they're going to turn him into a fucking zombie.
Exactly. So I wonder what the point was to that conversation if you're not going to have her end up pregnant. Like, it feels a little weird.
Well, too, though. I mean, maybe that is leading up to why she's going to lose her shit because now they've killed 2 of her kids.
But I think that might be what saves her, though. I have a feeling next episode she's going to lose her shit and Cersei's going to die, and she's still going to be the Mad Queen. But what can bring her back is finding out that she's pregnant. That's best world Disney happy ending wish. Like, please. So, fingers crossed. That's my little Game of Thrones. So let's talk about what the fuck happened to me last weekend.
At the taco shop?
Yes.
Okay, that's what you messaged me about.
I messaged Tanya. I was like, we gotta record, because we didn't record last week, but I was like, we have to record this week, because the most bonkers shit happened. And once again, customers, just seriously, why are you losing your shit like this? Okay? Fucking hell. All right. So this is how I think we're going to wrap up this episode. Every week, there's this taco place that's down the street, and it's 24 hours, and they serve the most amazing breakfast burritos, right? They're pimp-tastic. So on the weekends, those are kind of me and George. That's me and George's little treat. Uh-huh. I go out in the morning, I get us breakfast burritos, come home, life is grand. So I go, and when I pull up, there's a sign. There's like a little piece of paper that they've taped to the speaker that says starting on such and such a date, which was like 3 days earlier, we will now be closed from like 1:30 in the morning to 5:30 in the morning, which I'm like, ooh. First of all, I'm sure that's their fucking slowest time that they can't really justify, a return on investment. Like, you paid this money to employees and you're not really making that money back. Like, it would make sense.
Especially up here. Down by my house, the ones are open 24 hours because they need to be.
Right. This one, probably not. Oh. Like, so I see the little sign and I'm like, okay. At this point, it's like probably like 8:30 in the morning. So I place my little order and I pull around. Now, once you pull into the drive-thru, you're stuck.
Yeah.
You can't leave, right? It's got like a enclosure thing. So there's a truck in front of me and a car in front of him at the window, right? Car gets their food. We all pull forward. And I have my window down and I can clearly hear the guy in the truck yelling at the guy in the window, right? And I can hear clear as day what he's yelling about. He's yelling, saying, I work a fucking night shift. And when I get off work, I want to have a goddamn breakfast burrito. And I show up this morning and you guys are fucking closed. Like, and he's like, and I'm thinking, the guy in the drive-thru probably had nothing to do with that decision, sir.
Right.
Like, sorry we weren't open for just you to get your goddamn breakfast burrito.
They sell them 24 hours, so you can go there before you go to work, and then...
But here's the thing, there's plenty, there's like 3 other 24-hour, like those taco places, literally within 10 minutes of my house. Yeah. So I know that there are plenty around here that he probably could have gone to. Mm-hmm. So he's like yelling at this poor man, right? And I'm just like, I'm sitting there just, now I've got my dash cam on, right? I've got my little phone app, my husband's in insurance, and he downloaded this little app on my phone where I plug it in and I put it on this little like phone holder thing and it acts like a dash cam. I got it on. I'm sitting there watching this whole thing like, God damn, bro. This feels like and it's just escalating and escalating. And this poor man is like kind of leaning out the window and he's like, I'm sorry. Like, and he's trying, but it's very clear that English isn't his first language. So he's trying, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, fine. All of a sudden, old dude grabs the guy by his shirt and yanks him through the window halfway into his truck and starts punching him in the fucking forehead. God. And now I can't go anywhere. I'm like,
yeah, because with the drive-thru is you can't get out of it.
I'm just like, oh my God, like, so I'm like honking my horn, like people can see you, because that's the only thing I can think. And the other thing I'm thinking is getting somebody's attention inside. Maybe they can grab his legs and pull him back. Like the only thing I can think to do is honk my horn. Like calling the police at this moment isn't really going to do much. Like they're not going to be here in time. So I'm like honking my horn, right? And all of a sudden the truck starts to drive off holding the dude. Dragged him through the window. Now, I didn't know that this is what happened, but what happened was the employee was holding a pen, and the only thing he could think to do was he stabbed the guy, like right in his shoulder.
Oh my God.
So the guy like drops him, and then he runs into this and the truck runs into that little like landscape with all the rocks right there, jumps up the curb, and he's now stabbed. And this poor man who's been dragged and punched, and he's laying on the floor like kind of completely out of it. And I'm just like, oh my God, what the hell? So I go pulling forward, and there's 2 people behind me. There's 2 dudes in one car and another dude in another car. And the 2 dudes in like BDUs.
Right.
The one guy like totally takes control of the situation. And I thank God, because I was like, oh my, like I could not believe what the fuck I was seeing. The guy basically tells the guy behind them, block the drive-thru so that nobody else comes through.
Right.
Like, clearly we've got a situation here. Just block it, tell him to come back later. Right? Like, not now. And he tells his friend, he's like, you call 911. Right? And he looks at me, and there's that urgent care, right? That 24-hour urgent care.
Right.
He says, ma'am, will you run over there and see if they can come out and help these 2? I'm like, good idea. So I go running into the building, and there's nobody there. And I'm like, we have 2 guys out here that got in a fight, and one of them's been stabbed. Like, at this point, I've seen the pen sticking out of his goddamn, neck. I'm like, one guy got beat up, another guy got stabbed with a pen. Can you guys come out? They were like, oh, my God. So a bunch of nurses and doctors come running out. They get them all but both of these men are, like, completely out of it. Right?
Oh, I guess so.
And the one dude with the pen, like, he keeps trying to, like, pull it out. And they're having to hold his arms down because all he wants to do is pull it out. And they're like, we don't know if you've nicked an artery. Like, we don't know.
Don't touch it.
Don't fucking touch it, bro. Oh, my God. So the cops show up. And by this point, they've transported both of them to the ER. Like, they've gotten them stable and their ambulances have shown up. And I'm just like, oh, my God. So the cops show up. And they're like, what the fuck happened? Right? And the dudes who were behind me, they're like, some kind of fight, but we don't know what it was about. And I said, I know what it was about. And I'm like, I was the first one in line behind them, and I could hear the whole thing. And I explain it. I'm like, here's what the fight was about. And the cop looks at me, and he's like, really? You physically assaulted someone, punched them in the head, dragged them with your truck because they were closed when you wanted a breakfast burrito. Seems a bit excessive, right? And I'm like, you know what? I got the whole thing on camera. And he's like, what? I'm like, I have a dash cam. And he's like, shut the fuck up. I was like, here. So I pull up the little video and I play the whole thing. And he's like, okay, I'm going to have to take this video. And if you don't mind, I'm going to delete it from your phone. Like, this is evidence. We don't want it shared. Like, I'm like, no problem. So I'm like, holy fucking shit, this is insane. So this man comes running out, like, once we're kind of like, we all had to write out statements and sign them and the whole nine. And this man comes running out and he's like, just let me know when you guys are done. And so I'm like, okay. So once we're kind of wrapping it up, one of the dudes goes running in, and then the other guy comes out and he's like, here's your food. It's free. It's on the house. Thank you. I was like, you're welcome.
Oh my God.
Okay, fine. So it was like 3 days, or the next weekend I go. And I'm wondering if I'm going to see the guy. And he's there. He's working the drive-thru again. And I'm like, how are you feeling? I was like, I was the lady that was behind you, like, honking my horn. And he was like, oh my God. He's like, thank you so much. He's like, I wouldn't have been able to, basically what he said, like, in broken English was, I wouldn't have been able to explain to the cops what was wrong. And they probably would have thought I was the guilty one as the Hispanic person.
That's awful.
And I was like, you did not. And I kept stressing to the cops, I was like, while the one who was stabbed is probably hurt worse, he was the aggressor. Like, don't think that this dude
Taco shop guy was
literally was defending himself. Like, God only knows how far this man would have dragged him had he not stabbed him. Like, that was straight up self-defense.
Oh my God.
It was insane. I could not. So I'm messaging George and I'm like, it's going to be a while. And George is like, oh Lord. So I walk in the house and George is like, so what'd you hit? He's thinking like I got in an accident. Right. And then he sees me and I'm literally covered in blood because I was like helping. And I got blood all over me. And I was just like I was putting pressure on the guy's like head wound. And and of course, you know, head wounds, they bleed profusely. So I got blood all over me. And George is like, okay, what the fuck happened?
I just went and killed somebody on.
I was like, this is the most bizarre. It was so goddamn strange.
My God. See, that's why I don't go anywhere.
Thing.
I can't.
So that's my little story. We got some really good emails from you guys. One thing that I got a couple emails from people that we used to work with that told me, you know, we really love the listener stories, but they want us to kind of talk about some of the background stuff that happened at our work, because the way that they've explained it is like, they knew shit was going down, but they knew we couldn't talk about it. Right. And now they're like, can you tell us what happened with such and such? So they actually gave me some examples of stuff that they wanted to ask us about.
Oh, yeah, we sure can.
Our next episode, that's going to be, we're going to share your stories. Don't think I'm ignoring your stories, but our whole next week's episode is going to be that. Just kind of talking about our previous life and answering our dear call center peeps questions. So until next time, I'm Lara Mack.
And I'm Tanya Edwards.
Love your faces.
Smooches.
Like what you hear? Rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes or your favorite podcasting platform. And follow us on our Facebook page by searching Q as in Cucumber. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram by searching QAIC_Lara, Lara, and QAIC_Tanya, Tanya. Don't forget to check out our other show, hosted by me and Jessica James, called The Parent Memoirs. And we want to hear from you. Share your stories by emailing us at qisandcucumber@yahoo.com, and you might just hear your stories on a future episode. Love your faces.
This call may be monitored and recorded for quality assurance.